Okay, so as you can see, my hair didn't make ideal contact with the pillow last night. Uh, I assure you this kind of malfeasance will not go unchecked. I do plan on standing under some water in a little bit, and hopefully that'll rectify this situation. But until then, just try to bear with me. Hopefully it won't be too big of a distraction. So I wanted to talk about something that's kind of a big deal, and the lamestream media only recently started reporting about it, which is interesting. My dad's been talking about it for over a year now. And it's something called Fast and Furious, as the title indicates. And so basically it was a secret operation by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, where they allowed gun walking, which is the practice of selling guns to known criminals or people who clearly intend to use them for crimes, or to push them to people who clearly intend to use them for illegal purposes. So, and once the news broke about this, the ATF claimed that the reason for this was to go after bigger fish or whatever in Mexico. So the guns were about 2,500 guns were allowed to slip into the hands of criminals in Mexico. And since then, over 300 have been found at the scenes of violent crimes. As you can imagine, the president of Mexico is pretty pissed off about this. And the news was really started getting some attention whenever two were found at the murder of a border patrol agent in the U.S. And so this practice has been done for years, supposedly, but the thing is that previously the projects have been a lot more organized and a lot more accountable. So, and on the subject of accountability, Attorney General Eric Holder was interviewed by a Senate congressional Judiciary Committee, and he explicitly lied and told them that he had only been briefed on this over the last week or so. He said, I probably didn't hear about Project Fast and Furious until a couple of weeks ago. Later, some emails were leaked that were very explicit in briefing him on the project over 10 months ago. So basically, or over 10 months before the committee hearing. So basically he lied under oath in a trial, which the very purpose of the trial was to get to the bottom of this whole operation and who knew what, and he outright lied. And he still is the Attorney General, mind you. So that's kind of interesting that people in the government can just lie like that. And of course, we've talked about this in the past, but so then later, more emails were leaked, I assume by the same person, and that basically said that while they didn't intend to ever reveal their role in this whole project, in other words, it was going to be reported that these guns were found in Mexico, but not that the ATF told gun dealers to sell them to Mexicans. But the idea behind the whole thing was to use the sales to highlight gun safety and gun purchasing loopholes, and in order to push a piece of legislation called Demand Letter 3, which basically says that anytime that someone purchases a long rifle or multiple firearms, it has to be recorded and reported to the government, to a government agency. I'm not sure which one, but there's thousands of them, so I don't know. The point is, this is like really a big deal if you think about it. It was like a direct attack on our Second Amendment right, which is an essential liberty, which is that to bear arms, obviously. And thought about wearing a sleeveless shirt for this, but I decided to avoid the cheap pun. There's a reason why it's our Second Amendment right. They said free speech, and then the second thing that they said was freedom to bear arms. And it's because it really is an essential liberty. And it's kind of curious because I've talked before about how a lot of words have become associated with certain things or certain ideas, and when you think about someone who's concerned about our Second Amendment rights, probably you've already thought about it during this video, and what comes to mind is basically like a redneck or a hillbilly, you know, and he's like, you know, we need these guns, and I wonder how that became so, because even just a few years ago, that's how I was when I would read something about people trying to argue or fight against gun control. I think like, oh, come on, give me a break, you know, like a bunch of rednecks. But now I've come to realize that that was just a whole facade. And something else that's interesting is how you always the conversation is really always focused on hunting, and it's like people say like, oh, well, I like to hunt, how am I going to get my guns? And that just furthers the idea that it's just rednecks or hillbillies or, you know, who are concerned about this. So that way you don't want to talk about like, oh, we deserve to have guns and the government shouldn't be trying to make such strict regulations, because then you'll feel like a redneck or something. I don't know. So it's just curious that they want to control them, because any ignoramus could just hear like the whole argument for controlling guns and realize that all this legislation that makes new laws isn't going to affect criminals, because criminals by nature don't follow the law. That's how they are labeled criminals. So really all it does is makes it so that people like you and me, honest Americans, either it's harder or more difficult for them to get a weapon, supposedly, a gun, to protect their family, or they don't want to because somehow it's become in their heads ridiculous to do it because, well, I'm not sure why. But the Founding Fathers were all really pretty adamant about the right to own a gun and really thought that everyone should do it, and even talked about how it was one of the great liberating exercises of the mind, and was really made you feel a lot more free and a lot more safe. And Thomas Jefferson even said, no free man shall ever be debarred of the use of guns. And now certain uses of guns can render a free man no longer free. So, obviously, shooting someone can be a bad thing, but sometimes you do it to protect yourself. So just keep in mind that owning a gun, in my opinion, owning a gun is a very good thing. If I were you, I would make it my next purchase, in fact, is to buy some sort of protected firearm, because you never know when you're going to need one. And there's really nothing that, if someone breaks into your home or something, and it happens every day, and they try to steal your things or they try to hurt someone in your family, the only thing that you can do to make them want to leave, other than maybe if you were Tony Jaa or Bruce Lee, is to point a gun at them. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. But really, this is about Fast and Furious and the ATF purposely selling arms to criminals who later killed people with those guns, so they enabled people to murder innocent people. Well, supposedly innocent. They might have done something wrong, but nothing, in my mind, nothing is that so bad unless you kill someone that they should be able to kill you. But trailing off, getting off topic, I just wanted to bring it to your attention that this happened, in case you didn't know, or in case maybe you heard something and you were curious about the details. I'm going to keep this one under 10 minutes, so I'll put some references in the section where they belong, the video description, and there'll probably be a couple more of these today on some other things, because I'm going on Christmas break, and I won't have my computer with me, so I won't be able to do these for a while. Hopefully nothing too big happens, but I'm sure it will. Everyone have a lovely holiday. I hope it's filled with conviviality. I hope you see your family and your friends, and drink without reservation, because that's what I'm going to do. Have a good season.